And good morning. This is Today. It's Monday, yes, June 21st. It is the first day of... This morning, science correspondent Robert Bazell reports on pleasure. However, this is not the way most of us would go about getting it.
I hope not. Researchers have found that our brains are full of chemicals that are similar to morphine and other opiates. And these play an important role in many brain functions. At Northwestern University, I saw how they are studying the role of these chemicals in the pleasure response of rats.
This rat is enjoying himself. When he presses the lever, it sends a tiny current through electrodes implanted in a certain part of his brain. This evokes a feeling of pleasure, which makes the rat want to do it again and again. This experiment was first done almost 30 years ago. And since then, researchers, including Dr. Aryeh Routtenberg of Northwestern University, have been studying it to learn the basis of what they call the reward system. It is, he told me, analogous to human feelings of pleasure.
When you feel good, when you see a painting, or hear some music, or eat a northern Italian dinner, or have a fine wine, I think those are the expression of your reward system.
When Dr. Routtenberg and his colleagues perform the surgery to implant the electrodes, they know precisely where the electrodes go. This oscilloscope and loudspeaker are reproducing the output from one of the millions of neurons in the brain. Chemical staining studies have shown that certain chemicals are concentrated around the neurons that are stimulated for the reward system. According to Dr. Routtenberg, these chemicals play a crucial role.
We have identified two types of chemicals that seem to mediate this pleasurable response. One of them is an amphetamine-like chemical, and the other one is an opiate-like chemical.
So it appears that the electrical stimulation releases those chemicals into the brain, and that is what makes the rat feel so good. Dr. Routtenberg has also been studying the relationship of those chemicals to memory. This is a maze for testing a rat's memory. The rat first takes pieces of food from 7 of the 8 spokes. When he is put back 20 minutes later, he remembers which spoke still has the food. Dr. Routtenberg has found that when rats get the pleasurable response, they forget. But if they are given a drug which blocks the action of the narcotic-like drugs in the brain, the electrical stimulation does not affect memory.
Pleasure. So when you're pressing that lever, you're feeling real good, according. There is one physician in New Orleans, I did a story about this about 5 years ago, who was implanting those kind of electrodes in human beings. And they said they felt pretty good, but there were a lot of ethical questions about that.
Were they bar-pressing human beings?
Well, they put something on that he called a pacemaker that stimulated their brain and made them feel good. He was treating psychotics and everything that way, although his colleagues were very upset about it.
Now, what was the connection here between the pleasure response and memory?
It turns out that there are these chemicals in the brain that are similar to opiates, and these chemicals seem to mediate both things. They make you feel good when they're released, and they seem to have something to do with memory. So maybe when you feel real good, you had a great meal, you're feeling wonderful about something, you won't remember things as well.
Good things or bad things?
Good things or bad things.
Now, how can television programmers tap into...
Well, you know, it's interesting. There's been so much fear about this business of electrodes. This experiment, like I pointed out, was done 30 years ago when they first found out that there was this part of the brain where if you put a little electric current, it would make people feel good. And you could control these rats, because these rats won't eat, they won't do anything else. They'll just keep pressing that bar. And a lot of really crazy people, I'm sure some of them will be on the phone when I leave here, think that somebody's implanted electrodes in their brain and is controlling them that way. And I think people on television have been accused of trying to do the same thing with an electronic screen.
Not us.
Not us. Not here.
This is reality television.
That's right.
Thank you, Bob. We'll be back in a moment. Here's another word from Willard Scott.
In keeping with the same conversation to help your memory, Xerox Memory Writer, the electronic typewriter that'll make you forget everybody else's.